Welcome to the Frequency Labyrinth. I am Adrienne McDonald, your host. This podcast is for you if you're done with surface level self-help and ready for something deeper and actually transformative. Around here, we work with ancient wisdom, human design, gene keys, and shamanic practices, not as knowledge to collect, but as tools to live by. This isn't about one size fits all. It's about learning to work with your energy, your design, and your life. This is about integration and embodiment. We go deep here with ancient wisdom, practical integration, so that you can develop ironclad self-trust. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Grab a cozy beverage and let's get into it. Today we are diving into the new moon in Virgo, which will be exact tomorrow, August 23rd at 2:03 Eastern Time. I'm going to break this down and give you some ways to work with this energy, including within the scope of the 12 human design profiles. So let's get into it. Virgo says pay attention. Precision matters, order matters. Harvest what works, compost what doesn't. Virgo energy is almost the priestess of refinement. It takes the messiness of life and sifts it for what is useful, what's sacred, and what can be integrated into daily practice. Virgo is a very practical sign. So what's interesting about this lunation is this is a black moon. This is the second new moon in the same zodiac sign within a season. And black moons are rare. They carry a certain level of intensity and amplified charge, if you will. It's like a double down from the universe. And if we look at like a regular new moon as a seed, a black moon is like the seed with some extra oomph, little extra voltage going on, running through. It's a threshold within a threshold. So we have a 0-degree Virgo, the very beginning, combined with the black moon effect, which sort of doubles the invitation. And this really doesn't feel like a casual reset. This is like a cosmic clean slate. It's the kind of lunation where you plant, whatever you plant, has the potential to ripple out for more potentially than usual. Now, Virgo is a sign that's tied to the harvest, not just agricultural harvest, but the harvest of lessons, the harvest of discernment. It asks, what's actually grown that's worth keeping, what needs to be released back to the compost pile, what wisdom do I carry forward into the darker half of the year. And because this is a black moon, those questions are going to come up with a little bit more of an edge. If you've been dishonest with yourself about what's bearing fruit and what's not, Uranus is about stripping away the illusion. The black moon shines a shadow light on what's been concealed. And not in a particularly harsh way, but in a way that says, hey, let's be real about what's working. So this Virgo version is sort of standing at the doorway with two lanterns, one to illuminate what needs to be kept, and one to, light the fire for what needs to be burned. Now, this lunation is happening in Human Design Gate 59, the gate of sexuality or intimacy, depending on what data it's pulling from. But the classic gate name is sexuality, and the gene keys frequency of dishonesty being the shadow, intimacy being the gift, and transparency being the ascetic state. So while Virgo wants refinement and order, this new moon is actually I wouldn't even say it's whispering. It's sort of like with like a little soft bullhorn saying, okay, let's strip it down. Let's be real. Let the walls come down. Because Virgo energy usually says edit, polish, make it better. But at 0 degrees, it's not interested in perfection, I don't think. I think this is like beginner's mind in motion. It wants fresh, clean, uncluttered. It's a cosmic reset button, if you will. And right off of this new moon happening, we have the sun in a square with Uranus in Gemini. So this energy is all circulating. And Uranus is the wild card. It's the planet that rips the rug out, throws a little lightning bolt here and there, breaks the glass just to show you where the cracks were. Sudden change, rebellion, disruption, innovation. Now, all through the goal of liberation. So that part is great, but there might be some unexpected things that come up. And when you put Virgo and Uranus together, here's a translation. The usual Virgo neat freak energy gets a shakeup, and the systems that you have relied on, they may glitch. And the plan that you mapped out in great detail with your 35-page spreadsheet, well, that may unravel. The conversation you avoided may suddenly land in your lap. You can't push your way through in control under this cosmic mix. If you try, it's going to feel like, I don't know, like maybe bobbing for apples, but spending down too much time underwater. And when we look at this through Gate 59's gene key spectrum, at the shadow level, dishonesty is how we try to maintain control. It's the little white lies that we tell ourselves. I'm fine, everything's under control, I got this handled. When really, the walls are up and intimacy is nowhere to be found. And Uranus doesn't tolerate that. Dishonesty is it's a brittle stance at its core. And Uranus really shatters brittle things. And the gift here is intimacy, letting someone in, allowing Virgo's refinement to shift from self-criticism to carefully tending to what's real for us and between us and others. Intimacy isn't neat. It's messy. It's vulnerable. It's alive. And I know Virgo wants precision, and Uranus says, yeah, precision and truth, not in perfection and performance. Like, we're not here for the performative bullshit anymore. And at its highest expression, the city of transparency, that's when walls dissolve entirely. And transparency is not confession for confession's sake. It's the freedom that comes when you no longer need to hide. And that's exactly the type of liberation that Uranus brings, the sudden freedom from structures that you built out of fear instead of truth. Or the facades keep coming down, right? The facades really fall under this type of cosmic reset. So the new moon isn't really about tightening your grip. It never is, but this one really isn't. It's about loosening it. It's about letting the structure that no longer serve fall away. I know I say that a lot, but this is like an onion. We keep peeling it back, but it's being redirected towards what's real and what's transparent and what's like alive. It has a pulse to it. Now, this is also the new moon that's the last lunation before eclipse season kicks off in September. So it's sort of setting the tone here, right? You want to make sure that you're cleaning your stuff up before the eclipse season comes here. So this is like a good opportunity for that. Because you're not going to be able to hide during eclipse season. None of us are. Eclipse season always brings the cosmic course corrections. This lunation is like the quiet inhale before the storm. And the question is, are you ready to start fresh? Not from your old, armor and walls up, but from transparency. And, Gate 59 requires courage. Now, I carry Gate 59, and I've got the 59-6 channel in my own chart. This channel is about breaking down barriers to connection. People with this energy, hello, it's me, are built to dissolve walls and move people towards meaningfulness and closeness. And, there is a shadow to this. When we're not aware, this energy can sort of bulldoze boundaries or slip into dishonesty, where I think the big challenge is manipulation. That's when I say dishonesty, that's where I see the shadow of this gate really coming out is through manipulation. And also, think avoiding the truth, masking feelings, using intimacy as a tool rather than a bridge. But at its highest, this channel knows how to sense emotional barriers, to sort of feel into when someone's ready and when they're not. And it's really the art of fostering deep bonds that feel liberating instead of like constriction, right? And with the collective swimming in this frequency of 59, I think that we're all being asked about, where am I being dishonest with myself about what I want? What walls am I clinging to that are quote unquote keeping me safe, but also keeping me isolated possibly? And what would transparency look like in my relationships with myself and with others? And again, Virgo wants clarity. Uranus wants to shake the snow globe, right? Maybe you suddenly see where you've been lying to yourself. Maybe the facade that you've kept up in a relationship or even in your work life starts to crack under pressure. I would give yourself some grace. That doesn't necessarily mean failure. That's the invitation. Transparency clears clutter away faster than pretending everything is fine. And Virgo season is about reaping what's wheat. Like it's a harvest season, right? So it's about reaping what's real. Not what you planned, not what you curated for like social media, what actually grew. And sometimes that's a harvest you didn't expect. Sometimes it's a harvest you didn't even want. But sometimes it's realizing a crop failed and it's time to plant something different and new. And with Uranus, I keep saying Uranus, I don't know, whatever comes out. I think it's because I listen to so many different podcasts and they say it different ways. But Uranus squaring this lunation says, be willing to pivot. Like really, really come from a place of beginner's mind. Because the opportunity for some really cool innovation and liberation is at hand right now. And again, I also say we're on the precipice of the eclipse cycle. So if there's something that that you've been avoiding, I would be working with this now because it's really going to be front and center next month. So let's get into the profile lines for the Virgo new moon. All right, my 1-3s out there, investigator martyrs. You may feel the pull to hide behind research or logic instead of intimacy. And dishonesty for you looks like, I need more data before I can connect. But this lunation is asking, like, how transparent can you be without having it all figured out, right? Your intimacy is built not on perfection, but on letting people see your experiments and your failures as part of the process. You don't need to hide that. 1-4s, my investigator opportunists. Your relationships thrive on being the steady base others can rely on. But, dishonesty shows up when you start acting like you got it under control, all under control to keep connections smooth. Transparency here looks like you don't know everything, but you value the connection enough to be real about where you stand. And the harvest for that is the deeper bonds are based on trust, not a curated version of you. The 2 4s, the hermit opportunist. You crave both solitude and connection, but dishonesty for you often means disappearing without explaining why. It's like the ghosting. The new moon asks, how can you be transparent about your rhythms, like your needs, those times that you need to retreat, and the times that you're ready to be engaged? That honesty helps others trust your presence instead of feeling shut out. The 2 5s, hermit, heretic. Dishonesty here looks like shrinking in relationships so that you don't have to deal with other people's projections. The intimacy grows when you risk saying how you really feel. And even if that disrupts the harmony, it disrupts the status quo, because transparency isn't about having to explain everything. It's about allowing yourself to be real about who you are, not just as people imagine you to be. 3 5s, martyr, heretic, my people. We are wired for trial and error, which can make intimacy very messy. And dishonesty creeps in when we pretend we're not affected, or when we stay in relationships past their expiration date. This lunation is pushing us towards naming the lessons, owning the missteps, being real about what we want going forward. And Uranus square makes this the perfect timing for some really surprising breakthroughs in connection, especially when we're like really being ourselves instead of playing the chameleon role that I see a lot of line 5s do this to, keep the peace, so to speak, instead of like showing people who we really are. All right, 3 6s, martyr, role model. You have lived through some stuff. You have lived through some cycles of some messy intimacy, and dishonesty shows you. It shows up when you say, I'm done, I've learned enough, but that's not really true. Your real intimacy is forged through like enjoying the process, or being in the process, embracing the process, right? This new moon invites you to harvest wisdom from past mistakes, but also like really leaning into that beginner's mind of, and it's not coming from a standpoint of, what else you got? It's okay. All right, that's a cycle. All right, let's begin the next cycle, right? People learn from how you live, not just what you survive. It's not all about the harsh lessons. It's also about the ease and the elegance and the flow as well. I think a lot of times with the 3 6s that they feel like, oh, I've got to show you all my crap, but that's not true. It's everything. Now the 4 6, opportunist, role model. Relationships are your lifeblood, but dishonesty arises when you stay connected out of loyalty instead of like where you are in life, the truth of where you are. And transparency here looks like you're clarifying which bonds are mutual and which ones have just run their course. And this new moon may disrupt your social fabric a little bit, but in Virgo fashion, think of it as pruning what no longer feeds you, so that you can have deeper, meaningful connections with, and those can really flourish where it's real. 4 1s, the opportunist investigator. Your friendships and networks matter deeply, but dishonesty can slip in when you tell your people what they want to hear to keep the peace. This lunation asks, can you risk transparency even if it shakes up the order of things? And the Uranus square could bring some really sudden revelations about who even has the depth to walk with you, right? And who wants only the surface version of you. And the 5 1 heretic investigator, you carry the projections of others, and dishonesty shows up when you play into those roles instead of being true to yourself, right? This new moon is about stripping away the masks, and transparency here may sound like, I know you want me to be X, but here's what's actually true for me. And Virgo precision helps you sort of draw those clean boundaries, while Gate 59 invites deeper, more meaningful connections with those people that can meet you as you are. And the 5-2 heretic hermit. Dishonesty here looks like withdrawing completely when the weight of projection gets too heavy. Hiding your true self so you won't be miscast. Lunation asks, can you risk transparency with just a chosen few? And the harvest comes when you share your inner world as a, not necessarily coming from a performative place, but as a bridge to that real meaningful connection. And Uranus may disrupt old patterns of hiding, bringing unexpected connections. Now moving on to 6-2, the role model hermit. You often retreat to higher ground, like watching over the patterns instead of diving in. And dishonesty arises when you try to act like you're above the mess. Like we're all in the mess. Come down and be in the mess with us. And this new moon asks you to be transparent, like really transparently down to earth, to let yourself be seen in the middle of it, not just at the end when it's polished, especially if you're before 50, right? And, not, I know that when things are messy, when people look up to you, even when you feel like that they, like, why are you looking up at me? There's a weight of responsibility there, but there's a flow with this, right? Virgo's beginner mind energy helps you sort of embrace it as an evolving practice, not a finished model, because none of us are a finished model. And then we have the 6-3, role model martyr. Now, your life is a 3-part story. And intimacy has felt probably turbulent along the way. And dishonesty here looks like pretending you're, over it when part of you is still experimenting. Like, don't rush yourself. Don't rush yourself. Transparency asks you to be real about where you are in the process, especially in relationships. And this lunation is a reminder that, again, wisdom is about being above the mess. It's walking through it with a level of openness. Now I will say this, and this goes for everybody. Like, when you're in it, and maybe you need to share being in it with somebody else, make sure the other person has the capacity to hear what you need heard. It's Brene Brown's, like, if you're not in the arena, then I'm not interested in your opinion, that type of vibe. Now, this next, how everybody can work with this new moon. All right, let's break this down. Number 1, practice transparency. Like, where you half-truthing your way through. Virgo's precision. Gate 59 says, call it like it is. Even if it's messy, just call it like it is. And number 2, harvest the lesson. Like, look back over the last 6 months or to the beginning of the year. What connections thrived? Which ones withered? What have you learned about meaningful connection, trust, boundaries? Number 3, invite disruption. You might as well invite it in because it's here. Uranus doesn't break things to punish you. It breaks what's brittle, like what's fragile, what needs to be broken. If something cracks open this week, ask what freedom just got revealed. Because when Uranus breaks something, the end goal is liberation and freedom. And then set some seeds. Plant something. 0-degree Virgo and pre-eclipse portal, it's an opportunity for a powerful reset. Plant some intentions not from perfectionism, but from, okay, all right, you might have to readjust your vision. I think if you've been listening for a while, I said in I think it was in June, I was like, the whatever vision board and goals you had in January likely changed during the spring season because we had so much change going on. And maybe you thought you had it in June, and maybe now it's like, I think this needs some more tweaking. All right, this lunation is less about, I would say, manifesting and more about revealing, right? It's not to say that you can't plant some seeds, but this is more, I feel like there's more discernment, more tweaking, more adjusting, because there's a lot of revelation type vibe going on. And the key to this is transparency. What grows depends on what you're willing to stop hiding from yourself first. And again, remember this is the last new moon before the eclipses, so treat it as a checkpoint. What stories, walls, dishonesties don't get to come with you into September. Virgo doesn't need perfection. It may say it wants it, but it really needs precision. And, Gate 59 doesn't really need performance either. It's not there for that BS. It wants honesty. It wants truth. So that's what I got for you for the Virgo new moon. If you're curious about 59 or any of the gates and how they show up in your human design chart or the channels, if you want to know what your channels are, check out the link in the show notes for ordering your human design energetic blueprint report. And that's where you're going to get a really comprehensive review of your own human design and how your energy actually wants to move. Until next week, where we'll have the breakdown of the energetic cosmic mix for September. Remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic in the mundane. Thanks for tuning in today. As always, take what resonates, leave the rest. Let whatever landed move through you in whatever way it needs to or wants to. And also, if you want to explore more, you'll find more information in the show notes. If this episode stirred something in you, please share it out or leave a quick review. It helps so much and I really appreciate it. And remember, this work is about integration and it always starts with self-trust.